What's up, True Crime World? You are here with Luminal on the Wall. I'm Bevy.
And I'm Becky.
And a Merry Christmas to you all.
Yes. Merry Christmas.
Technically, it's Christmas Eve today.
Yeah.
But we won't see you for a week, so Merry Christmas to all.
And to all, a good night.
Sure. So, what do you have for me today, Becky? Let's get into our sister chat. Tell me about your life.
My life?
Well, like, what's going on recently, pretty much?
Man, well, I feel like normally I'm more cheery, but I pretty much have all like stupid little negative things. So are you okay to hear a bunch of negatives?
Yeah, I love you at any time.
Cool.
It's actually kind of funny because I will just pre-emphasis by saying, Becky's like, another negative. Okay, no.
Interrupted.
Okay. No, just like, I had to go pick up Becky today and bring her to my house so we could record, which wasn't the plan initially. And when I got to pick her up, I could just tell she was in this negative mood. Now, we all
I would like to say grumpy mood, not even negative, just grumpy.
Yeah, but we can all appreciate that. And we know from, like, if you've listened to us long enough, you know Becky's a pretty cheerful person. And so when she's grumpy, I'm like, what is going on? I just gave her a hug. I'm like, are you okay? Like, anyway, so yeah, tell us what's going on, girl.
Oh, man, okay. So both my cars broke down. Waiting on parts for one. Jamie can fix it also. It honestly, not a big deal if that was like the only thing. It was just like one thing after another when you're like, fuck this fucking day. I need to go to bed and just wake up to a new whole day.
And then the new day is like Groundhog Day and shit
Oh
again.
my God. Yeah. So in the last like 7 days, both my cars have broken down. I just got in to get winter tires because I bought a new car and didn't realize they had summer tires on them. So that was a pain. I should have checked, but I don't know why I didn't. But that one's my bad. But anyways, it blizzarded out. So that, you know.
That was your indicator, like, oh, wow, I'm sliding everywhere. This
I can't
sucks
drive.
shit, so.
Yeah. Then our router went down again. Yeah. So we like called for a new router. They said, sure, it'll be like 4 days. I'm like, oh, good. I don't have to work on data or nothing. So my data's almost all used up. And I still have to work tomorrow. So I'm like, oh, that's great. Then our coffee pot broke, which as adults know, sometimes coffee is the only thing that gets you through life.
Like, really, though?
What was even worse that it broke is that it cracked a hole in the bottom and we had just made a fresh pot of coffee. So all the coffee
wasted
all over the counter, all over the floor, under the stove, which I had just cleaned the day before. So then I had to clean up another mess. So anyways, I have no internet. We have to record our podcast. I have to write the podcast. So I went to Bev's house on the weekend and I wrote the podcast before I went using my data.
Oh, no.
Then I came to your house, babysat your baby, which was awesome. Although he cried more than normal because he missed his mom and dad.
Yeah, me and Craig went on a date night. We went to the Flames game.
Yeah. And then I stayed over at your house because we were doing this cookie thing, which was fun. Then I had to edit the podcast at your house because I had internet.
Turns out we're just getting like a play-by-play of the last week of her life.
Yes.
She's gone off the script of just telling us all the negatives. She's just like... Let me just tell you everything.
Let me just get it out. Okay? Then I go home after Bev's. I go to edit the podcast the next day. All my, like half my edits that I made at your house, completely gone. So I like was starting from scratch.
On your data.
On my data.
Oh my God.
And I'm stressed because I still have to work and I'm like running out of data. Anyways.
And we all know when we run out of data, like they charge you up to Yahoo.
And I don't want to just get more data because I don't need like that much more before I get my internet installed tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
it's just an unnecessary payment to get more data when you literally shouldn't need it. It's just like whatever the hell is happening with your routers.
Yeah.
If you guys are new here and you haven't been tuning in for, I don't know, like a month and a half, Becky's router at her house breaks and has broken like 7 times in the past like 3 years. Maybe more.
Oh,
I don't know.
It's such bullshit.
And
anyways,
so,
we switched internet providers because fuck that shit.
Yeah, she's tired of it. Now, if it keeps happening, guys, like someone tell us. There's got to be something wrong. Because she even got her like outlets checked and everything, and it seems to be fine.
Yeah.
So
They
we don't know what's going on. So either way, she's at my house.
But before I came to your house, I went to our mom's house to record our podcast. Then I had to like install the software, install Zoom, like hook up all my stuff, get all the settings ready. And then it sounded like absolute shit. Then my mom's computer froze and wouldn't even connect to the internet. So then I called Bev and I'm like, I don't even know what to do with my life anymore.
Yeah.
So anyways, Bev says, well, you know what? I'll just come get you, Becky.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be okay. She was so nice because I was so stressed. And then she showed up to Mom's house to get me, and there was Grumpy Becky.
Grumpy Becky was in my line of sights there.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a lot. I'll say that. To get a cranky Becky, it takes a lot.
I wasn't even cranky until after Mom's computer just like would not connect to the internet after I spent so much time installing everything. Like, it takes time. It takes time to change all the settings so your sound sounds good.
And you just haven't been home all that much. Like, you've been out of your house, away from your dog, away from your partner. And I mean, for me, that's like, my happy place is my home. So you always know when you're on the go, it's like a lot, right?
Oh, absolutely. Like, thank God you feed me, because I would be like unbearable right now.
Yeah, I do feed her every time. I make sure to do that at the very least.
Yeah, thank God. I don't know what I'd do without you, Bev, in these situations for sure.
Well, that's what I'm here for.
Feed me, make me less grumpy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So now I'm over my grumpy spell because, well, I got fed. There's a solution to my problem. And obviously I get to spend time with you. My favorite person.
Aw, I was wondering. I was like, is she going to say her best friend? I like my favorite person. That's cuter somehow. Because best friend's overused. You're my fave.
Yeah.
I like it. Okay. Well, now that she's released that bullshit
series of events,
we can get into the case for the day.
Yep. Let's do it.
We were talking earlier, and it's like normally when we do a case on Christmas or around that time, we do like a family massacre. And it's happened like the last 2 years in a row. So Becky decided to go a different route, and she decided to do a serial killer.
Still kind of a massacre, but totally different than No Family. So
right.
Still sad, but anyways. And it's kind of a Christmas, non-Christmas case, and you'll find out why. So I just didn't have the heart this year to do a family massacre.
Well,
because Christmas is all about families and your loved ones, right? And Jesus, if you believe in Jesus.
And this year we have a new family member joining our squad, so he's precious, and it's hard to think about family massacres when
you got a baby.
You got a baby in the home, so give it to me, girl.
All right. Today's case takes us to Toronto, Canada, so right in our homeland. Now, Toronto, for those who don't know, is an incredibly diverse city, known for its mix of architectural styles, plenty of parks that are perfect for a relaxed Sunday morning walk, and the food scene that can satisfy just about any craving. It is a city made up of many cultures, ethnicities, and gender identities, all coming together in a way that feels vibrant and alive. Toronto is also known for its warm, forward-thinking people, its welcoming queer spaces, and some of the biggest pride events in the world. For many, it's considered one of the most LGBTQ+ friendly cities out there. And that is why it was so unsettling when, in late 2010, gay men of color began going missing from Toronto's gay village, officially known as Church Wellesley neighborhood. On September 6th, 2010, a man named Skandaraj Navaratnam, known to his friends as Skanda, disappeared from Toronto's gay village. Skanda was well known within the gay community and around the village. He was outgoing, smart, and friendly. Skanda was last seen leaving one of the most famous bars in the gay village, known as Zippers. And when he didn't turn up afterwards, his friends reported him missing. At the time, Skanda was 40 years old and originally from Sri Lanka. He was working at the University of Toronto as a teaching assistant at the time. While his family didn't live in Canada, he had a large circle of friends who immediately stepped in and reported him missing, like I said. They made sure his face was posted everywhere and that as many people as possible knew he was missing. But ultimately, it appeared that he had just vanished. Then just a few months later, on December 29th, Abdul Bazir Fazi, or as Bazir, as his friends and family called him, didn't come home from work. At the time, Bazir was a 42-year-old Iranian Canadian. He was married and had 2 children. He worked at a printing factory. And on December 29th, Bazir told his wife that he was going out with friends after work. But what she didn't know was that Bazir had been hooking up with men in the gay village. So it's kind of in the closet, as they would say. Now, after his shift, Bazir headed to the Church and Wellesley neighborhood. Eventually, Bazir's wife became concerned when he didn't come home, and she ended up contacting the police, filed a missing person report. However, she wouldn't have known that the last place Bazir had been was in the gay village.
That's actually a problem when you consider the fact that now he's missing. It's like you have no idea his last known whereabouts.
Exactly.
You can just hope that somebody might have seen him in the community, or that he met up with somebody that could testify or provide his last known, location.
Exactly. Then a couple days later, on January 4th, 2011, police found Bazir's car. It was parked about 7 minutes north of the heart of the village. The car was locked, and there were no signs of foul play, and just like Skanda, it looked like Bazir had just up and vanished. The question is, at this point by the police, is because there's no signs of foul play, no evidence, like directing the police to look for them, did Skanda and Bazir both choose to leave?
I guess you have to contemplate that possibility, right?
I mean,
they're grown adults, yeah.
So eventually, with no leads, these cases kind of dried up. But fortunately for both men, their loved ones kept their posters up for quite a while, and they were just hoping that someone would know or see something. But for the next 2 years, there was no sightings of Skanda or Bazir. And there were also no more missing men in the area. That was until October 14th, 2012. Majid Kayhan disappeared from the village. He was 58 years old and well known in the area. He was originally from Afghanistan, and he was reported missing by his son after Majid suddenly stopped calling him. After Majid went missing, fear in the village kind of amplified. People began to wonder, was any gay man of color safe there anymore? After all, this is the 3rd man in 2 years
to go missing from that area.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And once again, Majid seemed to disappear without a trace. And again, with very little to go on, the police did put out a memo to the folks in the village, and they told the community to take extra precautions and let friends know if they were meeting someone and where they were going to be, so that if you go missing, at least people know where from, who you were with, what bar you were at, or what restaurant. Makes sense, right?
Yeah. I think that's actually a smart decision to do by the police, because it's almost like you could encourage, it's kind of a morbid thing to think about, but your potential next victims to provide you leads on their own disappearance, right? Because it's like they're the ones that are going to be texting their family members being like, I'm meeting up with so-and-so. This is where I am. So it's kind of a morbid thought, but also very smart, because they obviously have nothing currently. And it's also pretty sad to think that the only leads that they might get are
if someone else goes missing.
Yeah, or if someone else is in a bad situation, right?
Mm-hmm. Now, a few weeks later, in November of 2012, police received a tip out of the blue. This time, it was from Swiss authorities. The Swiss police told Toronto police that they had an informant who had been spending time on cannibalism fetish websites.
Oh.
And while there, the informant came across a post where someone claimed they had killed and consumed a brown-skinned man in Toronto's gay village. The Swiss police explained the situation. The online community that the informant had infiltrated was called Zambian Meat, and the alias making these claims was user Chefmate50.
Oh, morbid username, considering the admission.
I know.
Also, can we just stop for a second and talk about the fact that there are literal websites for cannibalism fetishes? It's so beyond what I am aware of in my reality that I just have to take a moment to be like, whoa, that exists. Also, it's this person is on this cannibalism fetish website, but he's like, no, this goes too far. This is actually bad. I just have a fetish. I don't even know how you would satisfy that fetish. Is it just the websites? I don't know. But I mean, at least this person has the morality to notify police when like something disturbing enough that like someone could get hurt is present on the website.
Well, this guy is an informant.
Did I miss that?
You must have, Bevy. You were just so like, cannibalism? What the fuck?
I know. I was like, he's an
ignored
informant?
Everything else I said.
Oh my God. Okay.
He's an informant, so he's there for a reason. He's working for the police. He's just like infiltrated that community.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like, please give me your admissions, even though it's real messed up.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Because I was like, interesting that just like a random person, like I thought it was just like a random person informing the police. Like, oh, I saw this on this like website. Oh,
yeah, no.
I didn't realize it was like someone working with the police
that
went on this website specifically for that.
Well, you would be right in your circumstance. Yes. How kind of you to, although be into this fetish, still contact the police when you hear something real bad.
Yeah, like I was just like, okay.
Like, good for you.
Good for you, I guess.
Good for you, you cannibal. Like,
yeah, I guess you had, oh my God. So is this website literal? Like, because I was like, how would you satisfy a cannibal, fetish if you're without eating someone?
I don't even know. I can't even guess because it sounds like there is only one answer. Anyways,
I guess that's why the informant is on this site, to be like, I'm looking for sketchy shit because it's bound to go down.
Exactly. Well, okay. And for our viewers who maybe haven't been with us that long, we did a case from Germany. And this guy, it was all about consensual sex, but the guy ended up dying. But his last wish was his wiener to be eaten. You remember that?
Oh, I can't forget the wiener
incident.
Anyways,
the controversy in this case was because they were both consenting adults, was it legal? Now, the law says cannibalism is actually not illegal. It is, how do you get the tissue?
Exactly. Because I think we talked about, like, technically, like, if you pick out the skin on the side of your finger and you eat it, like, is that cannibalism? Like, technically, you're eating your own flesh a little bit, right? Chew the inside of your cheek. You got little flesh.
Do you chew the inside of your cheek, Bev?
Craig does.
Oh.
Anyways, and so you, like, there's moments in time where surely you eat some skin.
Yeah.
At some point, so.
Are we all just a little cannibal?
Got a touch of the bullism.
Oh, man. Anyways, not to this.
Yeah, we're belaboring this, like, for sure.
Yeah.
But
it is a generalized question that I would be curious to know what the, like legal answers if you really dive down to the specifics. Oh, you got a hangnail? Are you cannibal if you eat it? I don't know.
Either way, I think that's why it's like it's such a gray area. They say cannibalism in general is like not illegal. Like choosing to eat flesh is not illegal, but the only way you're going to get it really is like if you hurt somebody.
Yeah, or you buy it on the black market.
Yeah. So it's like
I think it's still frowned upon no matter which
dirty
way you slice
dealings.
Dirty
cannibalism.
Dealings. The dark web. That's why it's on the dark web, because it's dark and not really great.
Good job, Becky.
Thank you. Anyways, this tip, as I said, came from an informant, and this informant was a very reputable source. They had previously helped the Swiss police identify other criminals. And because of that, the Toronto police took the information very seriously, launched an investigation, and they sent one of their own officers to Switzerland to follow up on this lead. But in the end, the cannibalism tip turned out to be a dead end in relation to Toronto's missing men from the village. But this tip did eventually lead to an arrest. A man named James Brunton from Peterborough, Ontario, was identified as Chefmate 50. He had posted disturbing fantasies online about cannibalism, but investigators determined that they were just that, fantasies. But James happened to be a Little League hockey coach, and police later discovered he had been placing cameras in the locker rooms.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so he was not charged with any form of cannibalism, but he was charged and convicted of child pornography offenses.
Oh my Lord.
So, good job on the informant. I mean, definitely wasn't the lead you thought it was, but it did get a pretty terrible dude out of the public for a bit. But all this effort was not for nothing. It actually propelled the police's investigation forward. Toronto's police officially launched Project Houston. Named after Houston, we have a problem. Missing men in the gay village. Now, this was a special task force created to examine the similarities between the 3 disappearances. And once they compared all 3 cases, they realized Skanda, Bazir, and Majid had all gone missing within a 3-block radius in the village. They were all middle-aged men of similar build and background, and sexual orientation. Despite this, police chose not to go public with Project Houston at first. And they also chose not to work with any LGBTQ+ organizations in the city. Instead, investigators conducted ground searches and carried out dozens of interviews with little to no extra information. So eventually, Toronto police decided that would be the time they go public with Project Houston. And they asked the community for help and any possible tips. Unfortunately, once again, nothing substantial came in. But while they continued to investigate, police uncovered a clue that would become important later. And what that was is that both Bazir and Skanda had written down the username Silver Fox. This username was linked to a website called silverdaddies.com. This is a dating site for gay men.
Obviously, probably like older gay men.
I would assume that too, yes. Now, they discovered that the Silver Fox account was connected to a 61-year-old man from Toronto named Bruce McArthur. Now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Bruce. He was born on October 8th, 1951 in Lindsay, Ontario. He was the second child of Malcolm and Isla McArthur. Bruce's parents served as foster parents to troubled children from Toronto, and they had a really good reputation in their community. Growing up, Bruce had an effeminate demeanor, and his father was fairly traditional, believing that men should be strong and stoic. In later years, Bruce had confessed to a therapist that he thought his father would give him more manual labor because he thought his father suspected he was gay and tried to suppress it. So that must have been pretty hard for him.
Yeah, like you're being
stifled.
Well, not really like necessarily, but you're kind of being forced to be a different way than you are.
Exactly.
Like, you know, like, oh, you are effeminate? Okay, well, here's some manual labor. Toughen up. Become the man I want you to be.
Be a real man.
Yeah, like, that's terrible.
For sure. I assume that must be just so hard for... I know a lot of people go through stuff like that, even nowadays, and I just don't get how someone could try to prohibit someone from just being them true selves.
Yeah.
Especially a parent.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't think it ever works.
No.
So it just causes resentment and trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Now, after high school, Bruce completed a 2-year business program at a college in Barrie, Ontario. And at 23 years old, he got married to his wife, Janice. Together, they had 2 children. Bruce began his career as a buyer's assistant at Eaton's department store in downtown Toronto. That role eventually led to a job as a traveling salesman for McGregor Hosiery. He moved his family to Oshawa and later became a merchandising representative. Throughout Bruce's marriage, he had been unfaithful and had explored his sexuality with men. Eventually, in early 1990, Bruce told his wife that he was gay and had experimented. The couple kept living together, but sadly, Bruce lost his job, and around the same time, their son had made some really bad choices, and due to his legal struggles, the McArthur family was facing pretty big financial problems.
The son's legal troubles? Oof. Do you know what he did?
It was like, I think he made some like really obscene calls. I think there's more to it, but that's all I could really find.
Okay, well, either way, they had to get a lawyer to represent him, and lawyers ain't cheap, so...
No, they aren't.
Okay.
So eventually, in 1999, Bruce and his wife divorced, and they sold the family home in Oshawa. Bruce then declared bankruptcy and moved into a cute little apartment located in the village. He then began working as a landscaper and started his own business called Artistic Design. Now, this was for sure Bruce's calling. He was really good at it and built up an elite clientele list. He was particularly popular amongst older wealthy women who found him charming. And you know, I feel like the more money you have, the more you love flowers because you can afford them.
Oh, ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
The flowers at my wedding were A lot more money than I had initially thought they would be.
Yeah. But were they beautiful?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
But expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Our cousin actually did the flowers
For
at
my
Bev's wedding.
Yeah.
And when we showed up, she had taken all the little extra flowers, that just like come off as you're creating bouquets. She took all the extra little foliage and little flower petals and all that and actually put them amongst all of Bev's like cake and cupcake area, and like she had candy, and they were just, it was so beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen like a more pretty cake and cupcake setup.
Yeah, no, I was pretty like amazed with it, to be honest.
Exactly. Like no flower shall go to waste. So now that the police had kind of dug into Bruce's background, they invited him down to the station. And he willingly agrees to answer their questions. He told them that he was an active part of Church and Wellesley community. He also admitted to being Silver Fox and knowing Skanda and Bazir from the village, and they helped out with odd jobs with his landscaping company. He also admitted he knew Majid as well. He explained he employed Majid as a landscaper, but he was not the hardest worker, so that didn't last long. So now the police have Bruce connected to all three missing men. However, as we said before, the village was a tight-knit community, so as weird as it also is not. The one big question they had was about a prior arrest Bruce had. And he was rather forthcoming about the events. He explained on October 31st, 2001, Bruce had gone to another man's home for sex. While they were doing it, from behind, Bruce hit this man with a metal pipe. He also smashed the man's hands as well. At the time, the man fell unconscious and Bruce left. He had actually left a 13-centimeter gash in this man's head that required stitches, and the man's hands required 6 weeks of physiotherapy, so they were fairly damaged. Now, once the man woke up, he called the police and reported the assault. At the time, Bruce went and turned himself into the police, saying he thought he committed a crime, but he didn't really have any recollection of what had happened. He explained that at the time he was on medication for controlling his epilepsy, and before sex, he had gotten high on amyl nitrate, aka poppers. And because of this, Bruce was evaluated.
The fuck are poppers?
Amyl nitrate. And Dubhev.
But like, what are they?
Well, honestly, I had no idea what they were, so had to do a little research. And it is an inhalant that creates the sensation of warmth, euphoria, and heightened sexual sensation. It also causes a relaxation effect in involuntary muscles, which is ideal for anal penetration. And therefore, it is fairly popular in the LGBTQ2S plus community.
I mean, that absolutely makes sense. It makes sense why he would inhale the popper before engaging in sexual intercourse.
Yep.
But what doesn't make sense, Becky, is that this inhalant would somehow make him black out and beat somebody. That is what I'm wondering.
You're right, Bev. That doesn't make sense, right?
So, obviously, I think it would be easy to assume that this Bruce dude is the serial killer in question, or at least, in my eyes, that's what it would be. And if we think of that situation with the man who he hit over the head and beat the hands of, it would almost seem to me that it would be like that beginning incident where they test their fantasy out, but they're new, kind of freaked out, don't exactly know. They don't go all the way with the fantasy. And maybe that's why this gentleman is still living. I don't know. We'll see. But it seems like maybe that triggering incident of like testing out sexual fantasy, that might be more violent in nature.
It could be, right?
If he is, in fact, the actual serial killer. Yeah, just my speculation.
Just your speculation. Classic Bev, always speculating. Speculators gotta speculate. All right, so obviously this was a pretty tragic incident. And because Bruce said he didn't remember or like blacked out, even though that's not a typical like
side effect
of what a popper does, he was arrested and he was evaluated. The psychologist noted several concerning traits. she described Bruce as passive and indecisive, with deeper resentment beneath the surface. She also observed that Bruce avoided open anger and conflict, and that Bruce lacks much insight into himself and others. The psychologist further warned that Bruce's excessive cooperativeness could be misleading, noting that his over-cooperativeness may hide strong rebellious feelings that may occasionally break through his front of propriety and restraint. She then goes on to say, "We are confident to conclude that the risk for violence is very minimal, considering he had traversed his previous relationships without incident."
Okay, so you have to take his past history into consideration, right? Like a one-time offense doesn't necessarily mean this is a violent individual. They've lived years without doing so.
Exactly.
But I will say the one thing that I do find concerning about her conclusions is that, like, all of his resentment, anger, basically all his feelings are pushed way down.
Mm-hmm.
And he basically puts on this front of cooperativeness, restraint. So you never really know how he's truly feeling deep down, right?
Yeah, and, people that hide those emotions and, they can often explode.
So true.
And unpredictable.
But I get where the psychologist is coming from at this point.
Yeah.
When you take in consideration his past and her conclusions with, like, his evaluation.
Yeah. So because of this evaluation and obviously his crime, Bruce received a conditional sentence for assault causing bodily harm and assault with a deadly weapon. His sentence was to be served in the community rather than jail time. His sentence included a strict set of conditions and probation, so 1 year of house arrest, followed by 6-month curfew. 3 years of probation after the conditional sentence. He was banned on visiting Toronto's gay village and from associating with male sex workers. There was mandatory anger management counseling and submission of his DNA to a database. He was also prohibited from possessing firearms for 10 years and from possessing any poppers as well.
So I feel like he did have, like, pretty significant consequences for that attack.
Yeah. Yep. Which is nice to hear because he kind of downplayed it. But the police were like, "Nah, you're in trouble, boy."
Yeah. So obviously when the police are looking into him and they see this on his record, like, it's obviously they're thinking, like, that's not really a good track record here.
Yeah. Especially considering they're speaking with him about missing men.
Yes.
In the area. However, because he had no other incidences after this, so that's like over 10 years.
Yeah.
Without incidents, and he was very honest about what he had done, the police truly felt that he actually came across as concerned about the disappearances and that he was wanting to help in any way he possibly could. So he ultimately was let go and wasn't really strong on their radar. Now, after this interview with Bruce, the Toronto police ran out of leads and they had no evidence. They didn't even have anything suggesting that these men were dead. So Project Houston was shut down. And after Project Houston was shut down, the disappearance stopped for a while. But then, between 2015 and 2016, 3 more men went missing. Saroush Mahmoudi, a 50-year-old Iranian Canadian, lived in Toronto, in the Toronto suburb of Scarborough with his wife and stepson, and he was reported missing on August 22, 2015. Then there was Krishna Kumar Kanagaratnam, was a 37-year-old man from Sri Lanka who fled to Canada to avoid persecution. His refugee claim was denied in 2016, and his family stopped hearing from him in January. But they assumed he had gone into hiding, so no one notified the police. 3 months later, 42-year-old Dean Lizowick checked into a homeless shelter in Toronto for the last time. He was a familiar and friendly figure in the gay community and was often seen panhandling on the corner of Church and Wellesley. He was so well known that people in the community began to wonder where he had gone, but the police were never notified. You live kind of that transient lifestyle along with maybe other transients and people who are in and out of the area, partying, going to restaurants, socializing. They might just think you have moved on, gone to another city. They don't know that anything bad has necessarily happened to you.
Right.
Now, the following Easter, 43-year-old Salim Essen disappeared. Salim was from Turkey and had moved to Toronto to marry his boyfriend. Although they eventually broke up, they stayed in touch right up until Salim disappeared. And his ex-boyfriend was the one who reported him missing. His poster went up around the village. Then in June of 2017, just as Toronto's Pride Festival was taking place, a man named Andrew Kinsman went missing. Now, Andrew was well known in the Toronto's gay community. He'd worked with the Toronto People with AIDS Foundation and was heavily involved in the community. He was a 6'2" muscular man with a big old beard, aka the Gentle Giant. Now, being a pillar of the community, the response to Andrew's disappearance was immediate.
Yeah, people probably felt his absence.
Exactly, where the other men, although just as important, weren't quite as big in the community. So this seemed to affect a lot of people, and a lot of people knew right away. Now, Andrew had gone missing shortly after Pride. His friends reported him missing right away. His friends and family and the community all came together to search for him and bring major attention to his disappearance. And there was just no chance that Andrew would have chosen to go off the grid without telling the people he loved. Andrew's family put significant pressure on Toronto police and also urged them to further investigate Salim's disappearance as well. So they're like, hey, he's not the only man, or Andrew's not the only man. Let's look at all of them, right? Now, this led Toronto police to create Project Prism, a task force for investigating all these missing men from Toronto. Now, while investigating Andrew's disappearance, officers searched his apartment and found 2 shoe boxes stuffed with cash, totaling about $130,000. First of all, he wouldn't have left that behind if he was going off the grid, starting somewhere new. Who would leave that type of cash behind?
Right, no kidding.
Right?
That's it's a good chunk.
Mm-hmm. Also, I have to say, who actually keeps that in their house?
Yeah, and does $130,000 fit in 2 shoe boxes?
That's a good question.
Damn.
You had it real packed. Now, as I said, if he was going off the grid, he wouldn't have probably left that cash behind. So this confirmed to everyone that Andrew was not missing by choice. While they were in Andrew's apartment, police also noticed a calendar. And on the day that Andrew disappeared, there was a 2 p.m. appointment listed under the name Bruce.
Ooh.
So police reviewed security camera footage near Andrew's apartment building from the afternoon of June 26th. They saw a man who appeared to be Andrew, wearing the same clothes he had been reported wearing earlier that day, getting into a red Dodge Caravan. At the time, they couldn't determine the year of the vehicle, so they took a screenshot of the footage to a dealership and learned it was a 2004 Dodge Caravan. Then the police searched how many Dodge Caravans were licensed in the province. There were about 6,000, that's a lot, Bev.
Yeah, they obviously have to narrow it down because, that would take a very long time.
Ooh, right? Now, fortunately, they had the first name Bruce, so when they put in that filter, they were able to narrow it down to only 5 Dodge Caravans.
And let me guess, Bruce McArthur was one of those red Dodge Caravan owners, Becky.
Bev, you're so correct.
Ugh,
so correct.
Knew it.
Yeah. And the reason why his name stood out to these officers, because they were different from the last.
That interviewed Bruce, right?
Yes. Was that he was the only one with a criminal history.
Oh, hot diggity.
So they're like, oh, you had a bit of a violent past?
And you have a red Dodge Caravan, and your name's Bruce. It's all, woo.
Putting puzzle pieces together left, right, and center.
Now, if anyone's seen Mr. Mercedes on Netflix, you'll know that the detective in that does not believe in coincidences.
Oh, no. Me and Bev are obsessed with this show.
Yeah, it's actually based on a Stephen King novel.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
What?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I know.
No wonder why the concept is kind of fucking weird.
Fucking crazy,
yeah,
right?
That makes so much more sense now.
Yeah. If you guys haven't watched Mr. Mercedes, I would recommend it. It's a pretty fun, easy to watch show. And yeah, but the detective on there doesn't believe in coincidences because, yeah, he just doesn't. And, in this situation, it's too much of a coincidence to that it would be the exact same guy they interviewed that to not look further into this.
Exactly. So as they're looking into Bruce, they learned that in 2016, another man had reported a man named Bruce driving a red van who had assaulted him inside the vehicle. This man had been hooking up with Bruce for almost 5 years on and off, but this meetup was different. Bruce was really insistent that they use his van as their meetup spot this time. When he got in, they started getting busy, and then Bruce began choking him aggressively, and he thought he was going to die. But he fought real hard and managed to get away and call the cops while Bruce drove off. And after Bruce left, he had actually gone down to the police precinct because he wanted to explain like his side of the story. He told officers that he thought that this other man liked rough sex and that this was just a misunderstanding. He wasn't trying to cause any harm. And so, because of this explanation, Bruce was ultimately released without any charge.
Interesting. This is the second time he's kind of gone to the police and explained like a potential crime of his away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and to me, it actually seems super like manipulative of the situation because even though like he is coming across honest, just like in his interview with the initial investigators, like he's being honest, forthright, you know, with information about what he's doing and whatnot. So I think it's trying to manipulate police to trust him.
Mm-hmm.
But he's kind of downplaying his role in certain things or maybe his intention behind certain things. And so the police on the receiving end of his explanation is just believing like he's an honest man that really did have a misunderstanding with this person, or, you know, he took a drug and it had a negative side effect or what have you.
Out, hit some guy in the head.
You know, I just worked with these guys. They're in my business. I knew them.
Yeah.
Tangentially.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
No, for sure. It's like he has a bit of an answer for everything.
Yeah.
Regardless of the situation. So, after the police learn this, they have no doubt that they need to investigate Bruce further. And with all this information and the van, they have enough information to begin tracking Bruce McArthur. And it was kind of in that moment he became their prime and only suspect. They feared that if he was capable of these things, they did not want another man to go missing on their watch. Therefore, they could not afford to lose sight of him. Police also did not inform the public because they did not want Bruce to catch wind and run. As surveillance began, police observed Bruce in his red van going to landscaping jobs, meeting friends, running errands, all the normal things people would do. Then days into the police surveillance, they suddenly noticed that Bruce was driving a different van. Now, police start to panic a little bit because the red van was a very important piece of evidence, and it was now missing. And they need to find it as soon as possible. For weeks, they searched dealerships, wrecking yards, body shops, all across the Toronto area. Finally, in early October, just around our Canadian Thanksgiving, they got a break. They spoke with the owner of an auto wrecking company who confirmed they had the specific van in custody. And to be honest, the police really couldn't believe their luck. Now, there had been some employees there who had come into contact with the vehicle, so the police were given the camera footage and the DNA from relevant employees so that they could rule out if their DNA was found. The van was then towed from the wrecking yard and closely monitored so it wouldn't be lost again. It was then processed by the CSI team, and the results showed that there was blood and semen in the van. It was confirmed to belong to Andrew Kinsman and Salim Essen.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. However, the amount was fairly minute, and any decent defense attorney could have easily explained it away. Now, this evidence obviously was valuable, but police needed more to complete this puzzle. This discovery allowed the police to apply for a court warrant to enter Bruce's apartment without his knowledge and search for physical evidence that he had killed Andrew. The warrant was approved. So in mid-December, when Bruce's landscaping and gardening business was slower due to the season, police were fairly able to still predict longer periods when he would be away from the apartment, therefore giving them the opportunity to act. Eventually, they observed Bruce taking a client out for her birthday and saw it as the perfect chance to enter his apartment. Officers searched his bedroom, focusing on his computer, and they began cloning the hard drive so that they could examine it later. When they were about 45% done, they received a call from the surveillance team that Bruce was heading home.
Oh my God. Okay. Like, I was gonna say, any like show you watch, you know, the person runs into goes into a hotel room or something. They're trying to get some evidence or something, and they're trying to scan it, download all the information, you know, and they see it and they're like, come on, come on, come on, come on. It's always like such a thrilling part, a rush of the movie. And as you were telling me this, I was just imagining that like these officers must feel that same feeling. And now you tell me, oh, he's coming home. I'm like, they really probably feel that. Like, oh my God, download faster.
Go. And they're just watching the bars like 30%, 31.
Yeah.
32.
Yeah.
And just probably time is going so slow for them because they're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Also, I was talking to Jamie as I was like writing this and doing all my research. When I found this out, I was like, isn't that totally wild that given the correct evidence, the courts can actually approve a police team or investigative team to go in to your residence without you knowing?
Yeah.
If they have like enough evidence to say, hey, listen, you need to go get something on this guy because of what we already have.
Yeah, it totally feels a little bit invasive.
100%.
But I will say, like, if there's enough evidence against you to warrant that type of action, like, you probably did something terrible. Because the, like, best case scenario is, like, if you're a good person and the police come in and they're searching your shit, they might be like, oh, this person shops on Amazon a fuck ton. Okay, well, you know, like, if they come into my home, they're going to be like, the worst thing that they'll find is, I have no idea, like, nothing. They're going to be like, pretty clean. All right, wrong suspect. Out.
Yeah,
they're not going to take anything. So, I mean, they're the best people to be entering your home when you're not aware.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, you're, like, crazy that can happen.
Yeah, it's like, I know that police and, you know, FBI are very capable of a lot of things, but for some reason, it never registered that they could actually do that, even if it's for a good reason. Like, it just didn't occur to me.
Well, you know what? This is actually the first case that we've ever seen this. Mm-hmm. And we've done a lot, like over 100, right?
Yeah.
So it's the first time we've ever seen cops utilize this type of warrant. Normally, you're kind of slapped with a warrant and they're like, we're entering whether you like it or not.
Yeah. Get out while we look.
Yeah.
But this is like so behind closed doors, like, you know, like Secret Service operation. No one knows we were here.
Yeah.
Don't leave a trace, right? Oh, creepy, but for good reason.
Mission Impossible.
Exactly. So, obviously, as you said, Bev, the team is probably like stressed to the max knowing that they're like, oh my God, we have got to get some information before he gets home, right?
Yeah.
So they were pretty panicked and they worried he might return and see them there. Like, it was close. So they got as much as they could and they quickly got the hell out of there. Unfortunately, they only managed to grab half of the computer's data, but hoped it would provide enough evidence to advance their case. So they obviously get to work. And they begin examining the contents. They found pictures of Andrew and Skanda.
Ooh.
But these photos were actually happy photos.
Shit.
It was like friendly photos, you know, like you take like of me and you.
Yeah, well, he did say he knew them.
Yep.
So
it's possible.
That tracks.
So they continued searching the computer and the data for weeks without a smoking gun. Finally, they thought that they should maybe use a different software. Now, this software recovered deleted images, and this is where they hit gold, in regards to evidence, of course. They discovered a photo of Salim Essen in Bruce's bed, inside his apartment, and he was dead.
Oh, my God.
They continued to search, and they found another photo of Andrew Kinsman, also deceased. Both men were dressed in fur coats and posed in rather humiliating ways.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
This tracks, right? We've seen, like, I don't know why, oddly enough, in recent podcasts, we have talked about posing deceased individuals.
Quite a bit.
And it's often in humiliating ways.
Okay, here's my theory.
Yeah.
Okay, Bev?
Yeah. Let me have it. Oh, I love that you have a theory.
I know. It's normally not me. So Bruce, his father, really kind of tried to hide his sexuality, right?
Uh-huh.
So in my mind, it would be like a source of shame that he was gay.
Trauma.
Yeah. Right? So I wonder if him posing these other gay men in humiliating ways was kind of his own like internal dialogue from his trauma from a child.
Oof.
You know?
That's heavy, Becky. That
Does
makes
it
a lot
make
of
sense?
No, it totally makes sense.
Okay, thank God.
No, that is that is so astute, Becky.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, I almost never hear that from you. Thank you.
I know.
Oh.
I know. Oh my God. But okay, so that is very interesting that you say that, because when they talk about posing like humans. I'm sorry. I don't like saying corpse because these people were humans. Anyways, when serial killers pose their victims, one of the reasons as to why they do so is to kind of enact a trauma from their past, right? Or a sexual fantasy. There was a couple of them that they could do as to the reason why they pose their victims.
Right.
And trauma is one of them.
Oh my God.
So I would think that maybe you're right on the money, Beck.
Yeah, like I am no psychologist, but I'm just, kind of thinking of what we learned about him and what he did.
I mean, he was humiliated by his dad, right? Like, his dad didn't believe he should be the way he was, forced him to be something he wasn't. And, I'm sure that was humiliating in a sense.
For sure.
Because he's denying who he is as a human.
Yeah.
His own father. So.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Wow. I definitely feel good about that.
You should, Becky. You should.
Yeah. So, obviously, finding these images confirmed that Bruce McArthur had killed at least 2 of the missing men, and he needed to be arrested immediately.
Yeah, because that's sick as fuck.
Yeah. Now, the police decided to take a few days just to organize everything for the arrest, get their ducks in a row. But they did recognize that Bruce clearly was an extremely dangerous man and a threat to all and any gay men. They maintained intense surveillance, ensuring he was never alone with anyone. On January 18th, 2018, the day before the planned arrest, the surveillance team saw Bruce get into his van with another man, and he started heading towards his apartment. Obviously, they need to act immediately because this man could be in danger.
Grave danger.
Grave danger. So the police raced to Bruce's apartment. When they arrived, Bruce and the unknown man were already inside. Officers quickly went in, because
they need to ensure the man's safety.
Exactly. So they were all set to knock down the doors and just be like, surprise, you're not doing anything bad. But they decided to knock just in case it went smoother. So they knocked, and Bruce actually answered the door. And the police informed him that he was under arrest for the murders of Andrew Kinsman and Salim Essen. And Bruce remained calm through it all.
Very on par with, who he is.
Yeah, outside of, the brutal killings.
Well, the
assaults.
Calm exterior, right? The surface is calm.
Yep. Who knows what's underneath? So.
On the surface, he looks calm and ready. It's not applicable. It's not the same thing.
No. But, yeah. His demeanor was calm.
Yeah.
Now, inside the bedroom, officers found a man who was naked, handcuffed, and was wearing a black hood over his head, but was still alive.
Thank God.
Thank goodness. Following Bruce's arrest, police began thinking outside of the box. They knew he killed these men, but where were their bodies?
Right.
So investigators began checking all the properties where Bruce worked at. They ended up focusing in on 53 Mallory Crescent, where he had kept his landscaping equipment at one of his clients' and friend's home. Her name was Karen Fraser. They knocked on her door in the dead of winter, and Karen confirmed her identity, and the police told her that she had to leave the property because Bruce McArthur had been arrested for some serious crimes, and they needed to search her property. Now, I haven't mentioned Karen before in this podcast, but she was absolutely shocked to hear this information. It was unbelievable. Bruce had been her friend for 15 years. He had seemed charming and wonderful. Every year, Bruce dressed up as Santa Claus for the children. He even was on a podcast with Karen in 2005 speaking to her about his experience as Santa and the joy it brought him. Bruce also regularly made the most beautiful floral arrangements to be auctioned off at charities that Karen worked with to raise money for homeless people, children, food banks. So, according to his friends and other people that knew him, he was an outstanding guy. He did lots for charities.
Classic serial killer.
Right?
Seriously.
Yep.
Classic. And of course, he seems to have a target audience for his horrific crimes.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's probably easy to be nice to the children. That's not who he has, hate towards, or that's not his fantasy, So,
yeah.
I mean, of course, when he's playing a part, the resentful, angry man towards, maybe his own self-hatred and the gay man he was, is at bay. Right when we think of the Cube,
mm-hmm.
where it's serial killers have different sides and they can completely negate the serial killer side when they're acting as something totally different. So Santa Claus side, joyful, cares about children. But on the opposite side, that he doesn't let out often, serial killer, horrific murderer.
Exactly. So even though Karen and her husband were gobsmacked, they left the property and their home ended up remaining in police custody for 23 days. During the search, they brought in cadaver dogs and it signaled towards Karen's large flower pots.
Oh.
While the search had started, Karen and her husband were questioned for hours, and they adamantly defended Bruce.
Yeah.
Investigators showed her photos of all the missing men and asked if she knew any of them. And you know what? She recognized Skanda Navaratnam, saying she had met him once, but 8 years earlier for maybe 10 minutes. He had been so kind, charming, smart, and pleasant. And she remembered his name and the conversation she had with him. She also remembered Sarush Mahmoodi, describing him as pleasant with an amazing smile.
So technically he wasn't lying
Mm-hmm.
to the investigators in the initial interview where he knew them. He basically was able just to describe one component of the relationship he had with them, right?
Exactly.
Being completely honest. So that's probably why he came across as genuine and forthright. It's he's genuinely saying, yeah, I know them. They're part of my landscaping business, or they were my friend or whatever, right?
Yeah, I hired them for an odd job. Yes,
Yeah.
They were with me.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So
My
he's
clients
just really
met them.
omitting a huge part of that relationship and what went down.
Yeah.
So at that point, Karen's seen these photos of some of these men, and she was really confused about the severity of the crimes. And the investigators explained that Bruce had been arrested for the deaths of 2 men and that they had extensive evidence against him. And this was the moment Karen realized Bruce had done these things. And it was more than she could ever have imagined the crime being.
Yeah. She's not this is not just suspicions. They have real evidence against him.
Yeah, exactly.
This is real.
So we're going to talk about these flower pots that the cadaver dogs hit on. As I said, they were completely frozen. So they were taken for x-rays. And analysis revealed a total of 7 men inside the flower pots on Karen's properties. The 8th victim was found elsewhere, but still on Karen's property. Kind of in a ravine ditch area where she probably would never see it. And it was at this moment Bruce McArthur became known as the worst serial killer in Toronto.
How did he, how big were these flower pots? Or did he dismember the men prior to putting them in there? And also, how weird is it to take a flower pot for an x-ray? Just saying.
Have you ever heard such thing, hey?
Yeah, it's just weird. But,
It is.
Seriously, how big were they? Or how did he get them in there?
Bev, those are very good questions. They were big flower pots, and I will get to the rest of your answers in a minute. So, investigators later found photographs of 7 victims on Bruce's digital devices. 6 of the victims had been photographed after their deaths. The images were staged, often with ropes around their necks and some showing signs of strangulation. In several of the photographs, the men's heads had been shaved. In others, Bruce had posed them wearing fur coats or fur hats. Police found a total of 31 images of Skandaraj Navaratnam, Bruce's first victim. One of these images included a missing persons poster featuring Skanda, Abdul, Bazir, and Majid. They found Skanda's bracelet in Bruce's apartment along with other jewelry belonging to the other men. They found a journal and bags of hair.
Oh, God. He went full serial killer here.
Full serial killer, yep.
With
trophies.
Trophies, thanks. I was thinking of the word, but yeah, trophies.
Yeah. There were a total of 18 photographs of Andrew Kinsman, including some with the murder weapon, which they learned was a piece of rope with a metal bar attached, and it was around his neck.
Oh my God, Becky. The only time I've ever seen that is in CPR class. A tourniquet?
I guess, yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Only in CPR class?
Yeah, a tourniquet, like to stop the bleeding.
I think it's actually, it's not called the one that you would do to cut off blood supply to like stop a wound from bleeding is called like a tourniquet.
A tourniquet, okay.
But now I'm blanking on what it's called when it's used to like suffocate someone. It was the same concept as how Jean Bonnet died as well.
Right.
Or that was found in their residence near her body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where you twist it until
it's just so tight, right?
Yeah.
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 You don't have to like use your physical
like your hands to do it.
Yeah. And when you think of the stature of Andrew Kinsman in particular, he was a huge guy, right? Very muscular.
Young, youthful.
Yeah, so maybe that was part of the reason. I mean, I'm definitely speculating, but it does seem like maybe, like, you're not going to be able to strangle that person physically. Mm-hmm. So you find a way that you can.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Within those photos, they also realized that Bruce had also shaved Andrew's head. Now, photos of Sarush Mahmoodi, Majid Kahan, Krishna Kumar, Kanagaratnamar, and Dean Lazowick and Salim Essen that were all taken after they were killed were also found. No photographs of Bazir Fazi were ever recovered. Now, when Karen learned that there was a total of 8 sets of human remains found on her property, she was in shock. The news was also devastating to the community and to the families and friends of the victims. Bruce ultimately waived his right to a preliminary hearing, which is a legal process that usually determines if there is enough evidence to proceed to trial. So he
knew there was. He's like, they found the bodies.
There's more than enough. Yeah. And that actually tracks with his behavior. He's somewhat pretty honest when confronted with when he does something bad. So it's like, some people will be like, yeah, the trial's fair in the court of law, right? But he's like, I get it. There's enough. I'm just going to avoid the troubles. Let's just carry on.
Yeah.
So by waiving it, he allowed the case to move directly to trial or a plea without that preliminary setup. On January 18th, 2019, Bruce pled guilty to 8 counts of first-degree murder. He received an automatic life sentence with no chance of parole. Throughout the hearings, Bruce expressed his apologies but never really showed any remorse or explained his motive, although authorities speculated it was his need for control and dominance, which makes sense. On top of that, as of now, he has never filed for appeal. So it sounds like he's just kind of taken his punishment because what he did was wrong.
Yeah, and also, you're a serial killer. They're not going to let you out. You killed 8 people. That's really sad.
You're a risk to society.
100%. He showed no sign of ever caring to stop. And just everything you see that was found in his apartment, the photos, even the pictures of, the missing person photos, he was so proud of what he did. He was like, haha.
They're missing.
They're missing. Look what I did.
I know where they are.
Here's the proof of my deeds. It's sick.
For sure.
And then kept, trophies of them and whatnot. It's just horrific. Mm-hmm. And I don't think he would ever even get an appeal. There would be no reason for him to do so. But we have seen criminals in the past like really try to go through that appeal process regardless of the crimes they've committed. But yeah. I feel for a serial killer, maybe they know what they are, and they're like, everyone else kind of knows at this point. Once I'm caught, people know.
Yeah.
They give up.
Yeah. Or at least he did. Now, the big question that everyone has after this case is that does he only have 8 victims?
Right.
So professionals find it hard to believe that at the age of 58, when he started his killing spree, that Bruce McArthur woke up one morning and began a 6-year killing spree. And this is one of the reasons that that make people believe that he has more victims and that they've never been found. And it could date back as far as like decades.
It's interesting to think about.
Yeah.
But that being said, I do wonder if maybe there is some truth to him just like not just waking up, but maybe in years prior having these sexual fantasies and having all of these urges, but kind of being not closeted, but he was married to a woman, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's kind of living a
average life.
Yeah. Well, like a deceptive life, right? Like he's not being who he is, really. So maybe the fantasies start there, and then that one incident where he almost killed that person, he was like,
love that.
I'm starting, like, when they start to try things out, like, I wonder if that was more so really the beginning of it.
True.
And then it just, like, progressed from there. So
it's
are
possible.
there more victims? Who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe there's truth in that. He didn't wake up one morning. He's been doing it for years and years. And maybe that person was just lucky and got away, right?
The other thing to think about is in his past crimes, he's gone after some really vulnerable men, who either don't have family here, are refugees, homeless, stuff like that. And a lot of times what happens is these people fly under the radar when it comes to them, like if they become missing.
Right.
Right? So who knows how many other men he attacked or killed, and it never got reported that they were even missing.
No, that's a very fair point.
Right?
Yep.
Or if someone noticed like months later, what leads would anyone have if it took like the population to realize they're missing? There's no leads because all of a sudden they're just like, hey, haven't seen him for months. Did he move? Did he get killed?
Yeah, so it's hard to say whether he has killed people beyond the 8 that, we know of.
Yeah.
But it's definitely possible. Definitely possible, so.
Definitely. Now, the one thing that is a little sad about this case.
Aside from the 8 men who lost their life, but yes.
Yes, aside from the obvious.
Yeah.
Is that the police were a little criticized in regards to their investigation. Even though they didn't have like a lot of leads, it's like there was some information out there that they eventually found. And if they had maybe looked a little harder right out the gate, they could have found, like, for example, Bruce's Silver Fox name. 2 men had it written down and they found that, but it took forever to find, right? Like, so in saying that, the public criticized the police a little bit for just not taking it seriously. And some people wondered if it was because they were gay men in the village. I don't necessarily know that that's true, but that seemed to be, from what I was reading, how some people felt in this situation.
Right.
So I don't know if that has anything to do with how long it took to find Bruce, or if they truly just had no information and not enough resources until they got like Project Houston and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. Like, I do feel like they did a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like that just based on what you told me.
Yeah.
That being said, I feel like police do have a history of neglecting crimes against minorities. Or,
Yes.
like, for example, prostitutes as well, right? Like, prostitutes would go missing and they would just kind of go, with the territory, right?
Yep. Oh, another one.
Yeah. Like,
unfortunately.
Well, yeah, they just, like, don't, I don't know, they almost, like, undervalue their life because of their status as like a prostitute or their status as a minority or a person of color or things like that, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there is a history there for people to think that way. So I don't blame people for thinking that. But I do think overall that from what you told me, the investigators did a decent amount.
Yeah.
Later on.
Yeah, it sounds like they worked with what they had. And sometimes it's really hard to put pieces together. Like, for a while, they didn't even know that some of these missing cases were even related.
Right.
Right? So you don't know until you know sometimes.
Yeah.
Now, I think some people look to blame people when tragic things like this happen as well. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, if the police had just learned that quick tip about the silver fox sooner or looked into Bruce more, blah, 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 right out the gate.
These people wouldn't have lost their lives.
Some people wouldn't have died.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, you can't fabricate information, and sometimes you can't even get a warrant if you don't have any legitimate evidence.
Yeah.
Or cause to look into someone, right? Yeah. So I can see it from both perspectives, but at the end of the day, it's easy to blame someone when you're hurting and scared and
when you feel tragic. Sad. Yeah, exactly. Because, like, ultimately, at the end of all of this, whether the police are to blame for a crappy investigation or, not being quick enough on the leads they did have or, looking into things further, what have you. The point is that 8 innocent men lost their lives due to someone's sick, twisted fantasies and honestly sick mind. So,
and at the end of the day, Bruce McArthur is to blame.
Yeah, for doing
these horrendous things.
Yeah. So, and it should be infuriating that these people lost their life. It should be.
Absolutely.
So
I feel really sad about this case. Just because, one person is so crazy that one person can just take so many lives and, not show any remorse. I know it kind of goes with the serial killer territory, but, I just don't get it. And it just makes me so sad that there were people who died and went missing and later found out they were dead, and their families weren't even in this country.
Yeah, that's quite devastating, actually.
Because I think of Canada as a really safe and wonderful place.
Yeah.
Overall, I know that there's horrible people no matter where you go, but it makes me sad that these people were looking for a better life, or I shouldn't say better, but a different life, and found this awesome community in downtown Toronto, and, they're just gone. And it just makes me sad that there are so many families impacted by this, and I know this isn't necessarily a Christmas murders per se, but a lot of it happened around Christmas, and how dare fucking Bruce McArthur ever be called a goddamn Santa Claus who gives miracles to children and spreads joy and happiness. That just pisses me off that he carried that title for years.
Yeah. So that is a fair statement, Becky.
Yeah. So everyone who lost someone in this case, I'm sorry for your loss, and I just I hope that you're doing okay.
Yeah.
And that you're finding some way to live your life and keep them in your heart.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So with that being said, Bev, thank you so much for listening to this horrible case.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing it. And
we wish you all a very Merry Christmas, and just, hug your loved ones just a little bit longer.
And Merry Christmas sentiment to you guys, which is our normal sentiment. We love you hugely. Until next week. And just your weekly reminder to download our weekly episodes, follow us on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever streaming platform you listen to us on, and give us a follow on our social medias. You can find us at Luminol on the Wall. Can't wait till next week.